Today I'm experimenting. This is a lab episode. I'm trying something new. 5 photographs and 5 stories to back up those images. And I'll do it in 5 minutes. No, I won't. Just kidding about that. I'll do it as fast as I can. I'll share 5 images that I plucked from my portfolio. I'll give you a little bit of a backstory of those images, some tips, and some insight into how this professional photographer works. Not how all professional photographers work, because I don't know how they work. I just know how I work. Anyway, if you're new here, I'm Justin Mott. I'm a professional editorial and commercial photographer. I've shot over 100 assignments worldwide for the New York Times, and I've worked for some of the most prestigious publications and corporations in the world. If you want less gear talk and more real talk about photography, consider subscribing. So image 1 was shot for the New York Times. This was an assignment in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh. We were doing another story there, and then this was like a sub-story that we did on the fly while we were there because Human Rights Watch released a report that led to us doing this story. So we're covering abuse inside a drug detention center. Prisoners that were let out were telling their stories. They wanted their story told, but were terrified of being recognized. So we went to go visit these prisoners and interview them and hopefully photograph them at a rehab center. They were getting help from an international NGO. And so first we had to convince them, the writer had to convince them to be interviewed for the story. And then I had to think fast about how I would get images of them without revealing their identity and without causing them any harm. I mean, that obviously is extremely important here. I didn't want to cause any harm to anyone. We wanted this story out. They wanted their story out. And without images, it's just hard. It would be hard to get people to feel something from the story without seeing some pictures. So, I had to kind of think on my feet, and after the writer sold them on being interviewed, I was like, okay, how about being photographed? While he was talking to them, I was just sort of floating around looking for ideas. It was a small sort of contained area, and what I found was it was like a little bit of window light there, and that was coming through, and I thought, okay, that side window light can be quite dramatic. It works for this story that we're trying to tell. That high contrast and shadows match the sort of mood of this story. And so I thought, how can I also use that to sort of hide their identity? And so what I did was I practiced a couple shots with the fixer that I was there with, sort of cropping out different parts of their eyes, either with having the light not hit their eyes and just have certain parts of their face, or just cropping out their eyes altogether. I took a bunch of different portraits here, but because this isn't 20 images with 20 stories behind them, I'm only going to share one today. And so also there's just a quick little lesson in there, like when in doubt, for me always as a natural light shooter, especially my editorial work, when in doubt, find a room, turn on the lights off, and use natural light coming in. And so I took a couple samples, I showed them to a couple of the people that were interviewed, and I said like, hey, if we did it this way, I had to commit to that. And if I let you commit to picking the one, and we have that trust there, and that's hard, but they did. They wanted to get the story out, and I owe it to them to protect their identity. So what I did was I used that dramatic sidelight, I cropped out different parts of their faces, and then I let them approve the image on my screen. This one worked quite well because one of the guys had just got out of prison, and he was beaten pretty bad, and he was a bandage on his nose and he was recovering. And so I just sort of cropped his eyes out. I used the window light and I just sort of created like an eyeless portrait. And it doesn't always work, but I think for this, it worked quite well. It had the mood that I was going for, had the impact that I was going for, and hopefully that would lead to people reading this important story. Moving on to my next image, this was shot for the Smithsonian Magazine. This story was so interesting. I always get the best assignments from the Smithsonian. If you would ask me like, who would you want to work for the rest of your life for editorial work? Would it be Nat Geo? No. Would it be the New York Times? No. It would be the Smithsonian. They have just such fun, interesting adventures. It's like you're documenting some sort of Indiana Jones story every single time. So this was about the oldest cave art known to man. This was 50,000 years old, if I recall it properly. It was a hand stencil found in a remote area of Indonesia. Just getting there, for me, from Hanoi, you wouldn't think it's that far. No, it was brutal. It took several flights, a crazy long drive in the middle of the night. And then I arrived at this like bare bones campsite without a mosquito net. Definitely wasn't prepared for like just the elements properly. I got destroyed overnight. I just barely slept. I slept on a wooden floor, getting eaten by mosquitoes. And the next day I got up. I only have a couple days to do these stories and a couple days to make these stories come together. And so the next morning I met my subjects. It was a mix of archaeologists, scientists, forensics teams, Indonesian and Australian, but the writer was focusing mainly on these 2 Australian guys. And so then I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to spend a couple days with these guys. And so during that time, I'm I'm looking to see what they're doing, the activities that they're doing, to document it naturally, but along the way, I'm looking to capture portraits as well. So I'm looking for opportunities. Typically, my portraits get better as time goes on because I understand the story more, I understand the surroundings more. Yes, you can say like you do research, you understand the story well. Sure, I do, but I never visually understand the story until I get there. I need to look around, I need to see these fields, see these caves, see the light. I just get a deeper understanding when I'm present. Visually, the story comes together for someone like me once I hit the ground. On the way to the cave where they made the big discovery, I spotted this like open field and the cave was in the background, just subtly, if you can see it right there, just in the background there. And the fields just had this like beautiful little white flowers. This was one of our main subjects here. He had this headlamp. I saw this like rock, this boulder in the middle of the field. I'm like, can you sit there and turn your headlamp on? I took some shots of him, some shots of the other guy. I just want both. I never know who's going to be featured more prominently later on, or if I'm going to get shots of one of the guys later on that works better. So I always back myself up. If a portrait works and I have multiple subjects, I'll put them both in there and I'll put them each in there, and I just have options. It's all about options when you're a photographer. And so I enjoy taking portraits like this, like environmental portraits. You have the field, you have the cave. The light was pretty decent. There was an extra element to add the headlamp in there, have it on. It sort of lit up the grass and flowers beautifully in front of them. And my portraits are often improvised. I'm never afraid to stop, ask, and try something new and think on the fly. Just a quick break here before we move on to the next image to thank today's sponsor, which is, who is it today? It's me. It's AskMott.com, my online store where I offer one-on-one coaching, 1-hour open Q&As, portfolio reviews, long-term mentorship programs, small group workshops here in Vietnam, 2 a year, and individual private workshops. All the information about that and more is available at AskMott.com. All right, image 3 for today was shot for a private client in Ho Chi Minh City. As a photographer living in Vietnam, you get like different odd requests. Like one week I might be photographing sloths or a cave in the middle of nowhere or former prisoners who were abused. And then I'm doing stories like this. I mean, this was all in the similar time frames. This was a private client from China who wanted to hire me to fly down to Ho Chi Minh City, only 2 hours away here from Hanoi, and just take portraits of her for the day. And like, yeah, cool. I mean, price is right. I like doing that stuff. I like photography, so no problem. So we went to different places, different locations around the city. We had a good time, photographed portraits of her, sort of impromptu natural shots of her experiencing the city. And it was just a fun day. And, you know, I could get a sense for what she wanted based on my portfolio. And I got some cool shots at this temple, and the light was really working, and the incense was kind of going everywhere. And I got shots that I knew she would like. I showed her, she liked them. And I was like, oh, let me try something a little bit different. Like once I get the confidence that I've gotten the shot that I like and I think the client's gonna like, it helps me sort of experiment a little. It gives me the freedom to fail or try something new, especially on sort of tricky technical shots. I thought with the way the light was hitting the incense, I could try like a handheld slow shutter shot and see if I could get like the incense in motion and create sort of this like ghost blurry type shot. And it worked out really well. It took a while to get the shot and to make it work, but I like the mysteriousness of it. I like how it was very atmospheric and something in the end that she liked and I liked. And it's just something I try to sort of sprinkle into every shoot. Like once I've nailed the essentials, I would call them, like what I think are really good shots and what the client's going to be happy with, then I feel free to take some more risks. I always try to put some risk time into every one of my assignments, every one of my shoots. The next image here was shot a long time ago for Time Magazine. This was a portrait of a Vietnamese video game designer. Now, most people, most clients, when you're doing stories like this, especially successful people, they want to stay in their location. Even the coolest office typically isn't as good as a location that I could find myself. Since his game was war-themed, I pitched the idea of shooting at the Hanoi War Museum where they had tanks and fighter jets and guns, and it all just made sense for him. I knew I could find something fun in there. I knew it would be 10 times better than at his office. So before I did the shoot, I scouted it with my assistant. I did a test shot. I found this like cool, fun, broken glass to shoot through. I thought, okay, this is perfect for his like war-themed video game. And the shot wasn't quite working how I wanted. I don't normally carry flash with me, but I thought like, oh, only way I'm going to make this work is with off-camera flash, because I wanted to be able to see the texture of the glass and then see him as well. And I could have tried to pull it off with natural light, but Hanoi is so unpredictable with light, with rain, with pollution. It could be tricky. So to back myself up on the shoot day, I brought an off-camera flash, and it worked out really well. That preparation led to like really cool execution. I thought it worked out really well. I got some other shots, but this was the big shot. This was a shot that he liked, that the client liked, and that I liked as well. You don't always get all three of those, but I did this time. You aim for it, but you don't always get it. That's it for today, guys. That's my 5 images with 5 stories to back it up, not in 5 minutes. If you have any questions about any of these photos, drop it in the comments section below. I'm quite active. If you're interested in online learning with me, a professional with almost 2 decades of experience, you can check out askmott.com for my one-on-one open Q&A. I've got hour sessions, I've got portfolio reviews, I've got my mentorship program for anyone that wants to really do a deep dive in their photography. It's open to all levels and people interested in all genres of photography. And I don't talk as fast on that. I talk a little bit slower. I take things down a notch a little bit. But I teach you, I give you accountability, direction, and just overall help you improve your photography. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to have a wonderful day. Don't forget to give me some feedback about the series, because if you like it, I'll do more. If you don't, I won't.